Tecovas is the go-to for premium, handcrafted Western boots. Stop by any store location for a warm welcome, a cold drink in hand, and a truly one-of-a-kind shopping experience. Let our friendly staff help you find your new go-to boots, whether your first pair or your 50th. Finish things off with a complimentary boot brand to make them extra special. Come for the boots, stay for the good times. Tecovas, forever West.
Welcome to Con Carne. I'm James Van Osdell, and Con Carne is presented by Alex Ross Art. Alex Ross, for those who maybe don't spend as much time as me reading comic books and graphic novels, Alex Ross is the best. He has this photorealistic style where he basically paints these superheroes and supervillains in such a way that you believe they could coexist with us in real life. Absolutely breathtaking stuff. I encourage you to check out anything with his name on it. And he has a really cool YouTube channel. And here he is, Alex Ross, to tell you about it.
Hi, this is Alex Ross. I appreciate you guys supporting our YouTube, and we create new content every week. I hope you will continue to support us, and please subscribe.
It's Con Carne. Let's eat in the car. It's Con Carne. And now here's the star of our show, James Van Osdell.
And here it is, Con Carne, also sponsored by this book right here. It is 90 Days in the 90s, written by my friend Andy Fry. The 90s in Chicago. OMG, what a time. Darby in this book finds a way to go back in time. What shows does she go to? Does she see Veruca Salt, Ray Gun? Where does she go check out? Where does she go? Metro? Lounge Acts? You got to read the book, and I'm going to make it really easy for you to read this book. Go to Loud Pizza Records in Highland Park. There's going to be an in-store with Andy where you can get a copy of this book signed, and you can meet Andy, and you can talk all about the things about the 90s that interest you. Hey, I remember back at the Fireside Bowl or Thurston's when I saw band XYZ. You can have those nerdy conversations. In fact, Andy wants you to. Loud Pizza Records, I love that record store. Sunday, October 1st, get a copy of this book signed. Or if you can't make it out, get a copy of the book online, 90daysinthe90s.com. All right, so this is Con Carne. We are in a dark parking lot. To my right, if you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube, that is Matt Barron, young man in a hurry. I kind of forced you to literally be in a hurry. I kind of tricked you into functioning as advertised because I realized the restaurant we agreed to meet at, U Dawg U in Northfield on Hap Road, right off the Edens, it closed at 7, and we planned this interview for 7:30. And I realized that once I got in the car, I'm like, oh, I'll just see how fast I can get there. Let me pull up Google Maps. And it said, restaurant may be closed by the time you get there. I'm like, fuck. So I kind of urged you to hurry as best I could. Long story short, I got the hot dogs before you got here. They're going to be cold. The fries are going to be soggy.
I can't wait. The best kind.
It adds to the conversation, for sure. Young Man in a Hurry, Actor Broad of Ice. October 13th is the album release, to be celebrated with a record release show in Chicago at Constellation the following day, October 14th. We have much to talk about. I'm going to give you the hot dog because it's not getting any warmer.
I'm excited. And Skokie Connection, the first job I ever had was at Gold Coast Dogs at Old Orchard.
No way.
Mustard, relish, onion, pepper, pickled tomato, celery, salt.
So, okay, tell me this. Here, I'll let you help yourself to fries. Which street is more fun to drive fast on? Is it Skokie Boulevard between Howard and Oakton? Or Laramie between Grosse Pointe and Lincoln Avenue?
That's a good one by the police station over there.
Yeah, because there are no stop signs.
Yeah, no stop signs. I know that one.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
That's the pro move. If you're taking Dempster east from the Edens, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, and you make a right, you go south. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. This is fun.
Here's your dog.
Okay, I'm excited. Wow.
And you're legit.
And look at that.
Okay, here's something I wanted to talk about.
This.
I asked you what kind of dog you wanted. You said hot dog dragged through the garden, which is accurate.
I'm going to try it.
We're talking about the same thing, though, if we say Chicago dog. It's a semantics thing.
I was being a little ironic. A little... Very good, thank you.
I love that this has been sitting for a little while. It just smells like sport peppers and celery salt.
Well, so Brian Deck, who's worked with the band a lot, has taught me a good trick. So whenever we'd order food, let's say he got 2 tacos, maybe 3, he'd have 1 or 2. and the third one would be wrapped in foil. And let's say we were eating at 2 p.m. and he'd want to go back and eat at like 9. He would get angry if someone were to put it in the fridge. He'd say, "Leave that thing out. Leave it on the shelf. It doesn't need to be refrigerated." So that's why it was sort of an homage to him by letting you know I'd eat a lukewarm hot dog. It's Brian Deck taught me that lukewarm food is, if you can't eat it hot, it's better than putting it in the fridge. It doesn't need to be refrigerated. It's not overnight.
Let's talk about Brian Deck, because I'm a fan. When did you discover him?
So I bought Moon and Antarctica probably from a used CD store in Champaign, and didn't know anything about Modest Mouse really at the time. Just knew that I liked a couple of their songs, and on the back it said produced by Brian Deck, and I thought that guy must be cool because he made this Modest Mouse record, and that name is really interesting. And as the years went on, I heard his name more through Iron and Wine and different bands like that, and Caliphone, and then I had become a member of the Grammys, which it's not a big deal to do that. You just have to release music in some form or fashion. Yeah, something like that. The Chicago chapter. And I went to this event, and someone introduced me to Brian Deck, and I felt like I was meeting, I told him this, like, I'm trying to think of someone. I don't know. I was going to say Phil Spector, but you're not supposed to be excited to meet him.
No. Bad example, and I realize it's off the cuff. That's not the right one. So
a famous music producer. And I was really, because of that Modest Mouse record. And anyways, time went on. My bandmate and main collaborator, Meyer, the drummer in the band, we were kicking around ideas about who to make our first record with. And he said, "What about Brian Deck?" And so I kind of just blind emailed him, and that's how it started.
What a good fit.
It worked out really well because we were a new band at the time, and we hadn't even planned on being a band. We were just getting together to...
Well, are you really a band? Let's go there. I mean, you're
Are we a project?
You're the only core member of this.
Well, Meyer and I and Nick. So there's three core members.
Okay.
Though on the new record, the press photo is of just me because we couldn't get our act together, and because we recorded it during the pandemic, we thought it would work to have just the picture of me. But we are a band. Meyer Horn is the drummer. He's a founding member and sort of executive producer of the band, sort of makes it all happen for us in terms of getting us opportunities to do things and make things. And then Nick Harris, who was the founding member and bassist, he's now the keyboardist. The other founding member, Teddy Rankin Parker, played cello. And he moved out of town, but he plays all over the new record and really makes a mark on it. So
again, the new record, Actor Brought a Vice, October 13th is when we can hear the whole thing. Record release show at Constellation the next night. This, like you said, made during the pandemic, not your typical collaboration. Although maybe it was typical for the time it was recorded. None of the musicians actually knew what you were putting together.
Exactly.
They were essentially in isolation from the sounds, from the concept, from the vibe of the music.
Yes, you're spot on. So we chose our musicians wisely, our actors wisely, and really brought in some heavy duty collaborators, all of whom were pretty much at home and not on tour. So it was not easy, but it was a simple ask because people weren't so busy with their regular lives. So
you ask them, and they're like, "Well, I got nothing going on."
Exactly.
How much do you want me to record?
Exactly. How much can you pay me, and how much do you want me to record? And what I did for each person was simply share with them the demo tracks, which ended up being the final tracks: the guitar, the voice, and the drum machine, the Whippany Drum Master, which I had heard about on a song exploder with Ben Gibbard. And he'd bought one at a thrift store, and I bought one on eBay. And rather than making a click track, I had Dave Vandervelde, the main collaborator on this record, start off a percussion track for me. And so each musician only received those 3 stems, so to speak, created their parts from there. And then Dave and I would meet and layer everything together. Started with bass, and then Tim Daisy's marimba.
This sounds like a really hard way to put together an album.
It was hard, but we had a lot of time. We had a lot of time because it was the pandemic.
Yeah, right. But maybe it was also fun in the sense that It's like putting together a puzzle.
It was like a puzzle. You're right, because what we did was put everything together, and then we just sort of removed and crafted and sculpted, and Dave was such a wizard with all that Pro Tools stuff, and the people that we chose to invite into this project are all, like I said, really heavy duty, sort of A-list musicians.
And that's what I was going to ask you. Were these people who were already in your orbit, or did you make new friends with
Good
this
question. So Sebastian, who's the first person we reached out to, and we really wanted an acoustic bass for some reason. I don't know.
Because
A lot of
they're
it's just
awesome.
Spontaneous.
project?
Yeah.
I love the acoustic bass. Are you kidding?
I played acoustic bass for 1 year at Niles North when I was there.
Go
And
Vikings.
They made us do either choir or some sort of music thing. And as a guitarist, I thought, my dad actually encouraged me. He's like, why don't you join the orchestra? You can play an instrument there. And I only did it for 1 year, but maybe that's where that acoustic bass love came from. And Teddy had played with Sebastian Steinberg, who was in one of my favorite bands of the 90s, Soul Coughing. He
Oh
was
my
a
God,
founding
yeah.
member. And now he's a touring guy with the likes of Fiona Apple and Iron and Wine. And so that was really cool that Teddy knew him and facilitated an introduction. And we got Sebastian, and he recorded with this guy named John Wood, Would, in LA. And it was around the time when Fetch the Bolt Cutters had just come out, so I was really into that record,
Sure.
especially Sebastian's bass playing, which to me was, besides Fiona's voice, the high watermark of that record was his bass playing. So it was a really cool experience to get him on board and have him play similarly for Young Man. And then the second one we reached out to was Tim Daisy, my favorite free jazz drummer in Chicago, plays with Ken Vandermark, and he's just the nicest, most receptive and kind guy. I've known him for many years, and we played together once. He subbed in for my kids' band, Future Hits, at the Hideout, and I rehearsed at his house, and he had this beautiful marimba, and I asked him about it. He goes, yeah, I'm way more into marimba than I am drums. And for him to say that meant something, because he's more into drums than anybody I know.
And again, Young Man in a Hurry, new album, Actor Brought a Vice. So far we've heard Fauucet, which I'm going to ask the obvious question. Why two U's?
Dave Vanderveld spelled it that way.
Intentionally?
No, I don't think so. When he shared the files with me, and the band I had been listening to most during the recordings was Howdy, who spelled their name with two V's, and I love the band Always as well. I like Howdy more, and once he shared that file like that,
That was it.
that was it. I mean, we had
You're running with it.
It was just perfect. And Dave V, you might have done it intentionally, but I don't think you did.
I'm on my knees. I'm church basement sleaze. If I had a nickel for every time I heard that. So I definitely get 90s feels from this song.
It's a weird song. It was the David Ptolemy who ended up mixing this record. He and I had long conversations, almost as long as the song is, about cutting a whole verse, because it's a lot. But I told him, I said, the lyrics on this one, for some reason, to me, could not go anywhere. We needed them all there, and we're rehearsing the song now, getting ready for the show, and we're doing 13 songs for the show, and 10 of them are from the record, and like 7 or 8 of them from the record are like there, and this one's still not there, and I'm like, should we cut a verse? So but I can't cut. I'm on my knees. I'm church basement sleaze.
Well, in another
we
line,
need a nickel for you.
another line, we're all better off when we don't get what we want.
Yeah.
I feel like that cuts to the quick of what this song is about.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, I wrote these lyrics during a really big time of upheaval of my life. I had a really big crisis with my old job when I was a teacher in Chicago, and
I've seen the news.
yeah, so this record is about that, and it's a love letter to the universe who carried me through, and all the people and all the experiences I had, and that all started about a year before the pandemic. So I was sort of retreated before the pandemic, and then that happened, and then everybody was retreated and dealing with their own crises. So the album as a whole is sort of written and about and during that time. And so Fauucet, yeah, it's about just think about the hot and cold water. It's a metaphor. And all these songs were written on the fly. They weren't premeditated. So they're really a subconscious excavation of what I was thinking or feeling while sitting down to write the song. So, yeah, we're all better off if we don't get what we want. I mean, I was planning on living in Norway for a year, and then I experienced what I experienced and couldn't go, and went through some challenges that ended up being the sort of, in a really messed up way, the best experiences I've had, because it really taught me a lot about friendships, relationships, love, fortitude, truth, patience, trust, how creativity can help in crisis. So that's a long answer, but you told me to go long.
I'm not going to go into the details of that. That's not where this interview is going. However, since you brought it up, I realized you had to put this stuff out there. As a creator, as an artist, you had to have your release somehow. But now that it's out there, I feel like you're going to have to keep talking about it. People are going to keep wondering, and that story is going to circulate again. You're going to have the Band-Aid's constantly going to get re-ripped off your arm.
Yeah, it's a great question. And when I was planning the press for this, I even reached out to Jessica Linker, who's a phenomenal publicist, and asked her straight up, like, should I invoke this? Because that's kind of what the album's about. And she was like, I don't see why not. You know, if it's part of the story of the record. And I guess my experience is whenever I do share about it, the response I get from people is always positive in a way that either they've experienced something similar, they know someone who has, and I learned a lot about trust equity through that experience, which is a phrase where, you know, you build trust with someone over time, and I'm just glad that I was able to get through that time and have the trust and love of many people, including all my bandmates.
Let's backtrack a little bit. When did you start this up?
The band or the record?
The band.
So the band started in, I think, 2016 or 17. I had gone to my dermatologist, Dr. Meyerhorn, a drummer, as well as a doctor for skin. And I just released a record with my kids' band Future Hits, and he had just made a record, and we swapped CDs at the end of our session, and I listened to his record, and it had special thanks to Mark Greenberg and Jeff Tweedy, and it was mixed at the Loft by Neil Strauch, who had just made our record, and I was like, oh, this guy's kind of cool, like, we should get together and play, and we did, and we just started jamming, and then after a few rehearsals, he said, hey, we should make a record maybe, or invite some other players in. So that was, I think, in 16, and then, you know, you said, is this even a band? It's funny you ask. It is a band. It's what is a band these days? It's a project, but there's still the three core members, and over the past however many years, we've made a bunch of stuff. Our first record was about to be released on March 27th of 2020. We had 5 or 6 shows booked, and all that got scrapped. So we've sort of been an active band beneath the surface, so to speak.
And again, Constellation, October 14th, album out and available and streamable and all the things the day before. And I'm guessing that's the rest of your year. I mean, you're going to be playing, you're going to be promoting, getting this out there.
Yeah, so we're going to play at Constellation. We've got so much music recorded, mixed, mastered, kind of ready to go. So we've been, like I said, this is kind of the biggest record we've made since Jarvis, our first record that came out at the onset of the pandemic. So we're just really, really thrilled to perform, to play the show and present these songs as a 4-piece, because there's 13 people on the record. So we're going to present it as a 4-piece, and we've really dialed it in to do so in a really nice interpretation.
I love it. All right, finish your hot dog.
Okay.
If you still have some left there. I mean, I'm keeping you from your food. Thanks for jumping in the car. We are the only ones in this parking lot right now. And based on where we're at geographically, I'm expecting the police to shine a light in here any minute now. Oh,
30-minute parking.
We have definitely crossed the 30-minute threshold. I'm flagrantly violating Northfield.
This hot dog's phenomenal.
The hot dog is phenomenal.
Steam bun.
Again, we'll see you at Constellation. Thank you for watching, and thank you.
Thanks, James. Great meeting you.